Welcome, Earthesses, and today I am so pleased to announce the very beautiful Jessica, another Jessica that is coming to us live from Cape Town today. Welcome, Jessica.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you. And Jessica has her own business as an energy healer, and her business is called Genuine Conversations Media, and she's kindly offered to chat with us today about our hot topic this month, which is healing pain and trauma. And this is such a topic that I'm really passionate about, and so looking forward to hearing different people talk about this, listening to people talk about their journeys and how they've worked through their own healing journeys, as well as how it's led them to the work they're doing. So Jess, can I call you Jess or Jessica?
Yes, go ahead. Jess is fine.
So from one Jess to another, I'd love to hear a little bit about or as much as you're open to sharing, about your own healing journey and how that has led to the work that you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. So my healing journey started quite a few years ago. I had just graduated college. I went to college in Switzerland for all 4 years and was coming back to the States. I was supposed to be really happy. I was living with my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband. I was finally in the same time zone and place as all of my family again. I had a job that was bringing in money. I was successful, and I was absolutely miserable. I was having breakdowns, which is so not like me. I'm not a public crier at all. I was totally burnt out. I would cry every day on my way home from work. I would cry in the shower so no one would see me. And I was also getting chronically sick. So I would get bronchitis once a month, every month for 6 months. And I was so tired. I had no idea what was happening. So I went to so many doctors, and none of them could tell me the reason why I was getting it. They would just give me this medication and say, ride it out for 2 weeks and you should start feeling better. But that meant I only had 2 weeks in a month to feel good. Long story short, after trying everything, I was introduced to an energy healer, and I was at my wit's end. So I was like, fine, I'll just try it. And I went into the session determined to prove her wrong. I was not woo-woo at all. I was like, this is probably a bunch of crap. I don't think it's going to help me. And she ended up figuring out things about myself that I had never told anyone else. And one of those things was why I was getting sick. And it was because I missed a place so much. It was making me physically sick not to be there. And that place happens to be the place that I live now, which is Cape Town, South Africa. Mm-hmm. So I told my boyfriend at the time, and we started our own businesses. He was like, we have to get you back there. So started our own businesses. I became a social media manager, and we left and went. And then fast forward a few years, thriving social media business. Everything's going great. And I'd been continuing with my healer, and she said, I think you really need to learn this. You're traveling so much. You'd be good at this. So she taught me. I started doing sessions on friends and family who had been pushing me for years to start introducing to other people, but I was so nervous. And I want to be that crazy woo-woo lady. So I fought it for a long time until the universe slapped me in the face enough, and we were in Bali. And I was like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm just going to post on a Facebook group and say, I'm here for the next week. If anyone wants an energy healing session, let me know. I doubt I'll get any responses. And I did. And within 2 hours, I had 30 people signed up.
Wow.
So yeah, I spent the rest of our vacation doing energy healing sessions. And I thought to myself, if one of these, even one, does not have an impact, I'm not doing this. And every single one was crazy, massive, effective, even the people who were doubting in the beginning. And it was amazing. And now I've done over 85 different people this year. And it's just been incredible. So yeah, that's a long story started.
Wow, that's a real change in career, isn't it?
It is. It was really hard to get used to. Yeah.
And I guess so, hearing your story there about the unwellness, that is something that I want to talk about, is that pain and trauma can be so different for everyone.
Yes. Yeah.
And can manifest in so many different ways in the body. You know, do you find that people are often surprised at what comes up when they come to you and how it is linked to certain events in their life?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, trauma is really widely defined and can come from just about anything. But really how your body handles it is the most amazing piece. Our bodies really just want to protect us. They look out for us, even if we've done terrible things to them. I've worked with people, who have had physical abuse, sexual abuse, eating disorders, even breakups can be traumatic, changing jobs, divorce, anything like that. And the way your body takes care of you through it is the most amazing piece. Your body will take things on and decide what you can and can't handle at the time. So things that you need to keep safe and deal with a little bit later. And that's totally fine. And I think we need to allow ourselves some forgiveness for that. But when it's time for those things to come out, that's usually when the body will start signaling you. And it could be through sickness. It could be through just like fatigue, lack of focus. It could be through depression, even, is a gift that your body gives. And I think pain is kind of your body's last resort. So I'm trying to tell you for so long and you're just not listening. It's like, well, I know how to get her to do something. I'll make her hurt. And then she'll take action. So a lot of times that's what happens in our body. I know that's what happens for me, is just the physical pain. And finally I'm forced to face it. Your body's like, finally, I've been waiting for you. Let's get this out.
Yeah. And I think that's, what you said before about the differences, that it's really important for people to acknowledge the fact that you can't compare trauma from one person to the other, because it is so individual. And like you said, your body just deals with it in whatever way you can. And I was lucky enough just to have a session with Jessica earlier before this call, and it was it was an amazing session. And I just wanted, Jess, if you could talk a little bit about the heart, was it the heart?
A heart wall?
The heart wall, because I think that's a really beautiful and easy to understand concept, like what that is and how. Is it, first of all, is that something common that comes up?
Absolutely. Very common. So a lot of times, basically, I guess what a heart wall is a heart wall is made up of these layers of trapped emotions. So emotions that we were like, not dealing with this right now, I'm pushing you down, that come up and we use to build a wall when we're in vulnerable or stressful situations. And heart walls always, when people get them, they think they're bad, but actually it's great. This is your body's defense mechanism from keeping you from getting hurt further. But it does come with a price, so emotionally, as we were talking about, it lessens your ability to give and receive love. So yes, it's great to have that wall up. It's protected you for so long, but the good isn't coming in either. So it's about letting that down and releasing those layers of that wall so you can be open to feeling that love again. And physically, it will trigger you too. I mean, heart walls can cause a lot of neck pain and shoulder tightness and just heaviness here. So they're great protectors, but when it's safe enough, it is time to release it. And I have been with people who have been in the midst of a trauma where their body actually wants to build the heart wall. And I work with them to help them do that too, which is interesting, being on both sides of it.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And so how do you work through that heart wall with people? Could you just explain? Because I think your technique is very gentle, and a lot of people may not want to be dealing, or they may have a little inkling that they have things to deal with, but maybe scared or fearful.
Yeah.
So could you just explain how you would work through that?
Absolutely. So we start by seeing how many layers your heart wall is, and this can range anywhere from like a little baby one of 2 layers to I've had someone who has had a 35 layer heart wall before, really thick. So it can be anywhere in between. So we just start by seeing that. And then what we do is we get a better understanding of your heart wall. We see what it's made out of. And that is the fun symbolic piece. So heart walls can be made out of, if you have a heart wall made of fire.
Had a cement wall.
You had a cement wall, which meaning it was really heavy, really hard. And it just means, so if someone has that heart wall made of fire, it means if someone tries to touch those emotions or get to your heart, they're going to get burned. So people wondering why they're having such a hard time in their current relationship or having a hard time developing new relationships. This is why. I mean, even things like cement, running into a cement wall, someone's just gonna fall down. Bricks sometimes, if it's made up over time. There's even weirder ones. I've had someone with a heart wall made out of money before. Wow. So just really trying to needing that their savings account to be a certain number to feel comfortable, and never feeling fully comfortable and protecting themselves with the money that they have. So really interesting pieces and how symbolic it can be. And then we work through the emotions, the layers one by one, and we call them to consciousness. We figure out, how old you were when this emotion came up, what it's relating to, friends, family, work, relationships, even yourself. And we get to know as much as your body needs or as much as you want to know, and we release it out. And with that point, there are some pieces where I guess I'll just say why energy healing worked for me was because it wasn't therapy. I didn't have to go and sit on a couch and talk the whole time. There are things that I could keep private and say, I have something in mind, but I don't really want to tell you out loud. Can you please test the thing that I'm thinking about, and see if that is it? And then we just move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people don't necessarily, your body is, so you're tapping into, so let's say my body, and then asking my energy what it needs to, what it wants to work through or talk about or release.
Absolutely. A lot of times people will come to me beforehand being like, I have all of these problems. And I always start with a breathing exercise. So before connecting to their energy, I am thinking, okay, they're having anxiety issues. I bet we're going to need to go to their stomach because your solar plexus relates to anxiety in the breathing exercise. And then we'll drop in and I'll try and go to their stomach and their body's like, no, I want you to go to my head. So those types of things. And also stepping into their energy, being able to feel how they're feeling. So if they have had shoulder pain, that's kind of been there for a while, but isn't their biggest deal to handle. When I step in, because I'm not used to it, I feel it harder than they do. So they're like, oh yeah, my shoulder is hurting. I just haven't told anyone about it. I'm like, well, it's an issue because I feel it too. So it's really a unique way to be able to have someone else share in that experience with you. And it's also a lot of trust to have them experience what you're going through too.
Yeah. And do you ever find in this process that some of the pain or the trauma actually isn't from this life, or are you just always working in this life?
No. Sometimes it can be from past lives sometimes if you're into that. Also, it can be from a big piece is inherited trapped emotions that come through. And these are actually the most special to me and something I really love working through. I've worked with a woman recently who actually has had an inherited emotion of despair passed down through her family. And her great-grandmother, it was so much, her great-grandmother committed suicide, actually. And her entire family has had a lot of depression and issues. But the coolest part about these inherited emotions is if one comes up for you, you are a really special person, because it means that we can release it not just from you, but all the way up the family line. So she was able to not just release this trapped emotion of despair from her, but also from her mother, her grandmother, her great-grandmother, and all the way through the generations to where it was initiated. And that is something that is so special to be able to do healing work for other people.
That's so special to hear. I think that's one part of, like, in my own personal journey, that kind of that lineage and that ancestral pain and trauma, when sometimes you're like, what the hell, like, this is tough. And that
exactly
to stand there and be like, right, I'm helping clear this, not just for myself, but for all of the people that have come before or after me. And I think
exactly,
it's really, really amazing. And I think
it's
sorry.
I was just going to say it's really special, and you will know when something's not yours in your body, like something just feels foreign and different. So it's actually really amazing, and especially with women and these inherited emotions. There's actually been some science done that the fact that your eggs are actually passed down. So the eggs that we have been passed down for generations, which is the reason they say why women keep getting more and more frustrated as time goes on. We just keep building up all of that, pent up frustration of being put down from our ancestors, and it's all in us. But it's really true with emotions too, and carrying those too. So it's really, really special.
Yeah. And how do you find, like, when people come to see you, do they come for one session, or is it like a process of?
It just depends. It depends. So some people come and I only see them once and they're great after that. Other people come and are working through some pretty big issues. So they'll do the first session and feel really good. And then afterwards be like, I know I can feel better, which is great. So I'll work with them through that. So I usually check on people a month after I've worked on them if they haven't come back to me, just to see where they're at. But I'm happy if they're feeling great and fine, just keep going. I also have packages that I do where I work with people once a week for 6 weeks, but that's really for big transformation and to get through a specific issue like self-worth or purpose or things like that. So it just depends.
Yeah. Okay. And what's one kind of special piece of knowledge that you could share with someone that's perhaps early on in their healing journey, or anywhere in their healing journey, but just one special thing that you'd like to share with the women in the Earthess? Because I really believe that whoever listens to this, they're meant to listen for a reason, and it, you know, whatever comes through for you.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I'd say if you're really just starting, or even if you're in the middle of it, it's about finding the right person that works for you, finding your people. So playing around and exploring a bit. I have worked with a lot of healers, which is amazing because I get to incorporate some of their healing strategies too, and my process is always evolving. But I still have my, what I like to call my woo-woo line. So when I started my healing journey, I couldn't have jumped in and gone straight to hypnotherapy or past life regression. That would have been too far for me. So I played around in this area a little bit and just kept going further and further. But healers are really a lot like channels on the TV or radio, depending on where you are at in your life. Some will be more staticky than others, and some will just come through really clear. So my suggestion is really to just explore and play around and find that channel that comes through very clear for you and speaks to your body. Because there are so many out there, and that's for a reason, because everyone might need something different.
Yeah, that's great knowledge.
Yes.
Totally agree, because what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. And I think as soon as you see someone or hear someone, you know, if they, you know, are calling you. So I just wanted to let everyone know in the village that Jessica will be in our village, and I'm sure if anyone wants to reach out to you, they can send you a private message within the app or post any questions below the video. And yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for, first of all, my very special session that I had with you, and being able to experience that and sharing your knowledge and story on healing pain and trauma. And yeah, it's just a beautiful way, I think, to allow people to learn about this. And yeah, so thank you for being willing to share with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And it's really, really special. And anyone who, even if you don't want a session, but you just need some tips or anything on your healing journey, let me know. Because I know it's a hard space to navigate. And sometimes there's also trauma involved in the healing itself. So
good point. Really good point.
Yeah. I've met with a lot of people who have just gotten the wrong doctor, the wrong medication or something, and their body has just been so messed up that they're scared to reach out again. But so if that's you and you need help figuring things out or clearing away, like, just let me know and we'll get you to the right people.
That's great. Thank you so much, Jess. And we'll share all of your details as well, your website. And yeah, thanks again. And looking forward to having you in our village and seeing your face around more.
Thank you so much, Jess.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.